Hi everyone, this is Antoine, and today we are gonna be discussing with Brandon about his entrepreneur journey and try to get some bits of information about things that worked, how the landscape changed from, building a business in the dot-com era and all the technological wave until the agentic era. We're gonna hear more about Agentforce 360 and how it empowers builders around the world to turn their ideas into actual businesses. Let's jump right into it. Hey, Brandon, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have, your expertise. You're looking after solution engineering for the partner organization at Salesforce. And it seems that you had like multiple lives before being part of the Salesforce organization. So can you first help me understand your entrepreneur background and maybe just go down memory lane?
Antoine, thank you so much and good morning. It's great to be here with you. It's funny. The origin story, as we like to call it, is always something that is key. And I actually have been in tech my entire life before leading the AMER Partner Solutions team here for our great partners team at Salesforce. And as I was thinking about the journey, particularly as we've made this announcement on Agentforce 360, my career has kind of followed some of the innovations that we have been talking about. So back in early .com days in 1999, I started a business and had a great idea. And of course, with the great idea, you had to go out and build servers and install software and databases. And I remember installing into that rack load balancing tools and firewalls and power backup and having to manage all of that and then take the idea and then still run a business. That was early software as a service days. But I
So
think the
no
one that
cloud
you're
then, no cloud
no
then.
cloud. Well, it was early. We were starting the cloud, and it was right when Salesforce started. So the same year, clearly I was not as successful, or maybe my vision wasn't as robust as Mark and Parker's at the time. But here I am now at the mothership. But I think the one that you're referring to is the wine business that I started in 2006 time period. Is that right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
I mean, I detect a French accent, so I know that you've got some affinity for great wine.
I know you spiked on my radar.
Yeah. So in 2006, myself and a colleague that I used to work with came up with this idea. It was right when Woot was getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, well, we should do Woot for wine. And so what would be a story if we could take one wine each day and review it and tell the story of the winemaker and give people the real visceral experience of actually tasting the wine and then sell that wine each day. And then every day would be a new. Yeah, so this was the concept, and very different from the time back in 1999 where we had to build servers. We were able to just take that concept and use a platform as a service provider. The solution was built on Ruby
Mm-hmm.
on Rails. So we had the idea, but we didn't have to worry about servers and firewalls and databases and all of that. It was all kind of provided for us. But the big gap still is going from idea to actual business. At the time, it's where I started with CRM as well, because we needed a mechanism behind the scenes to manage customers and our relationships with wineries and all the contractual stuff. Don't tell anyone. I guess it's on recording now. But my CRM journey started with a competitor to Salesforce at the time in 2007. Exactly. But here I am now. And yeah, but still like having those tools, but it's again, the business, the commercials, being able to run the marketing and process all the things that you need. It's much more than just the idea. And so our announcement just this last week about Agentforce 360 for our partner ecosystem is just really, really profoundly connected to like my own personal journey, because not only do we have this amazing technology platform, but we've got some pretty cool business and go-to-market tools as well built on top of the Salesforce platform overall. So really excited about Agentforce 360.
Thanks, Brandon. And to get everyone who's tuning in, in the shoes of like this entrepreneur, when you were thinking about this wine business, I'm assuming that when you started, wrapping your head around the idea, the first thought was not technology, right? It was mostly, hey, I identified a need, or it would be really cool if. And only then the technology came in. Do I get it right?
Yeah. Again, as we were thinking about it, we were seeing that there was a gap in the market and people love to enjoy wine, but there's this knowledge gap and they want to have a strong connection to either a vineyard or a winemaker or a region or a grape or something. And so the whole concept was wrapped around this idea that how can we make wine more accessible? The technology choice that we made was largely driven by the folks that we had helping us build the technology. And then all of a sudden we're stuck in this situation where it's like, gosh, not only do we have to make these technology choices, we have to figure out, where we're going to platform it. And that's even before thinking about the business. The wine business is complex and compliance and maintaining, your customers and all of the things that you need to do, which is, as I mentioned, we needed, even with that technology choice, we needed CRM behind the scenes, early CRM, to be able to make sure that we were connecting with our customers in an entirely new way. Finance, I mean, I was not only the person tasting and reviewing the wine, but I'd wake up early in the morning and have to do the finance and the operations and the warehouse things, all of the things that go into a business. It's much more than just an idea.
Was there a time at which the wine tasting started in your daily routine?
Well, officially not until morning, but once I moved to the East Coast, I had to adjust that time zone. But no, I would usually do the tasting at the end of the day just because, of course, as you're officially tasting, you're not supposed to be actually swallowing the wine. You'd have
Right.
you spit it out. I can't say that I was always the best taster because I would sometimes enjoy the wine along the way.
I love it. And remind us, it was in the 2000s. Can you pinpoint exactly when you started this journey?
Well, we started the concept in 2006, right? As platform
Mm-hmm.
as a service and infrastructure as a service was really starting to take hold. The official launch date was July 7, 2007. So 777. We chose that date officially because we thought that was an auspicious collection of sevens together. And that was our launch date. We were soft launch for about a month. That business was entirely self-funded as well. And by the end of that first year of 2007, we were already operationally profitable. And if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, you can see he used to run a great program called Wine Library TV before he was an influencer.
Yeah.
And he did a program on us later in that year. So it was kind of exciting for us to be in the space and to be called out by someone who was pretty big in the space at the time.
And we'll have to find the video and put it into the description of this episode, so anyone can tune in to some
Yeah, he was
old
a lot
school Gary
younger, and
video.
so was I at the time.
So at the time, you had the ability to kind of abstract a little bit more the complexity compared to your very first venture, which was literally putting your hands in hardware. I assume that you still had to reinvent the wheel a few times for some capabilities. Do you feel like you had to build some things that today are being seen as a commodity?
Yeah. So thinking back about our tech platform, what we were building and what was delivered on the infrastructure platform as a service, our customer facing front end was
Mm-hmm.
really the experience that our customers were facing. So where we would post the reviews, where we would run our e-commerce site, but behind the scenes, we were having to manage the process of moving that data into CRM. And then of course, all of the process of maintaining the relationships with the wineries. And of course, selling wine, we weren't able to sell in all 50 states. Every state has its own technical requirements and compliance requirements. So being able to pull the information out of the various systems and then recombine it in the right reporting behind the scenes, lots of different systems to connect and a lot of friction along the way, which today is a lot different if you look at what's available.
Yeah, no. The speed at which you can turn a business or an idea into an actual business probably accelerated, especially in the past couple of years, if not couple of months. And that makes me think of one of the big trends that we have right now, which is vibe coding. The feeling that we can see in the entrepreneur sphere is that with vibe coding, everyone can now turn out to be an app designer? Based on your feedback, I feel like there's a difference between like designing an app and putting together an actual business. Like we need to move past the MVP part and have scale. Do you feel like if you had to rebuild your wine empire using today's technology, vibe coding, I'm assuming, would be part of it, but you would need something else to go past MVP. Am I right?
Yeah, I think back to the first business in 1999,
Mm-hmm.
from concept to launch. We had a lot of people working on the idea and the business and the tech and all of the things. It was probably a year. Again, this is early .com days, and so you were, the life cycle was probably 12 to 18 months to our MVP.
Mm-hmm.
With the Wine Spies, it was 6 months of time from idea to when we were going live. And again, and in parallel, you're doing all of the business work. And we were able to, have some outsourced developers and platform stuff, but all that business work accelerated. If I had the opportunity to focus on just refining the idea and being able to use vibe coding tools to really refine the idea would be stood up much more quickly, and it would have really allowed me to focus a lot more time on really refining the business model, on working through how we were going to better engage with our customers, and all of the things that really took a long time. The long pole in the tent, the first one, there's a lot of long poles in the tent. They get shorter and shorter. But yeah, as vibe coding, the idea, it allows you to refine your idea much more quickly and prototype that idea much more quickly and test it. And because the first time you do something, it's not necessarily going to be the right one.
Right.
So to be able to get it out there and then go and refine it and test it again and test it again. But the gap is from that POC or MVP to enterprise scale, it's a different ballgame. You have to be able to cross the chasm, to make the leap from that concept that you built in vibe coding to a real business. And so being able to focus time and energy equally or in the right proportion, I think, is one of the big promises that we have, particularly with the Agentforce 360.
And that's an excellent, like transition. When I'm thinking about the Agentforce 360 platform, I'm thinking about trust, scale, and distribution as well. So that's the core difference between turning an idea into an MVP and actually like making it a business, right? Like, because the goal is to drive revenue out of like this brilliant idea that our builders listening, have out there. So now thinking about the Agentforce 360 platform, how is it helping builders to focus on their intellectual property, like their business idea, rather than, reinventing the wheel?
Yeah, you and I are both on the technology side here in our partner ecosystem. And so my first lens is always on the technology. So to be able to take that idea very quickly and prototype it and have what Agentforce 360 brings to the table, all of the infrastructure, the data model, the user permissions, security, the ability to deliver all of that at scale is massive. The secure environment, the trust infrastructure, what we're providing in terms of the agentic foundations is phenomenal. And if you had to start from scratch and DIY all of that on your own, you'd be back in the day where your platform as a service. And yes, there are folks out there that really like that, but at the speed of enterprise today, you have to be able to move very quickly. You have to be able to adapt to what your customers are telling you, the market is telling you. And if you have to go back and re-terraform servers and think about all those things, boy, you're going to have a real challenge keeping up. You'll miss opportunities. So from a technology perspective, there really is, starting from having everything available at your fingertips and being able to focus on just your idea and delivering it at enterprise scale is mega.
When I think of the building path of like an entrepreneur, like the scarcity is like, the runway, obviously, of how long they can focus on their idea without running out of money. But on top of that, And actually, before that, it's time. How much time are you going to put into reinventing your authentication pipeline, or how DevOps work with for your apps? Or you could find a solution that have it all figured out, right?
Yeah.
So we do bring, a balance between this agentic wave that we all discovered with the rise of the large language model, and some more controlled and deterministic aspect of building businesses. I'd love to hear a little bit more about, how this balance is set in place. Because, on one side, we have all those large language models. So it's a fair question, to ask, like, why wouldn't I just use a large language model to have this, agent that is my business? Maybe it needs a little bit more guardrails to actually do what it's supposed to do.
I think that really is the uniqueness of what the Salesforce Agentforce 360 brings, is that we have, in essence, a reasoning engine within the platform itself, the deeply unified platform. So you have all the infrastructure, all of the data model, all of the security and trust, but then the mechanism to actually orchestrate and manage your agentic journey. And then from there, because all of the data, whether it's living in CRM directly or it's ingested in Data 360 from external sources, you have all that context. From there, being able to use what uniquely Salesforce has brought to the table, kind of our trust infrastructure around agentic framework, to be able to then connect to an external model without leaking information about your customers, leaking information about your proprietary business model, because that is really the true value from a technology perspective, and then bring it back and recombine it and deliver it at scale in a way that's meaningful and impactful and driving great customer experiences or employee experiences via the platform. If you had to do that from scratch and be thinking about that entire engineering process, again, time being the scarcity, you're taking time away from the things that will allow you to drive real value in your business, which is connecting deeply with your customers, connecting deeply with your employees that are providing that customer experience. So we like to talk about agentic, but it's also humans and agents working together that really is driving the big story. And of course, time being scarce, the business side of this, and I know we'll probably talk a little bit about that shortly, but we've been talking a lot about the tech, but Salesforce as a partner ecosystem brings a lot to the commercial side of running the business as well, to really accelerate the journey for our partners.
Business side, seems like we have a lot of freedom, when a builder decides to build this agentic application on the Agentforce 360 platform. Do we have some guidelines or some specific rules to follow when it comes to how our partners will price their own businesses? Or do we give them the freedom to design the pricing model that will fit for the value that they're offering?
Yeah, it's a great question. Of course, we have, some specific programs, and I'll talk about them in a minute, but you do have a lot of freedom. But I think one of the parts that's really unique about the Salesforce Partner Program in particular is that Salesforce was, if not the originator, certainly one of the first inventors of the software as a service business model. And so we've done it pretty well. We kind of know how all of this works. And one of the benefits that we give to our partners directly is once you join, is all of the tooling, the same tooling that we use internally around license management, around how to do our app exchange and now agent exchange, to be able to have that marketing, feature management, license management, all of the things that really help drive success. So if you had to build that from scratch as well, that would be a massive undertaking. So you get all of that out of the box. So this business tooling alongside the technical tooling. But you mentioned about the business model. So really kind of two big flavors. One is having Salesforce inside. So think of it as almost a platform, you're building a solution. It's Salesforce as the platform in which you're delivering the solution. We call that platform ISV. We've got some great big partners that have built phenomenal businesses around that. Think about nCino as a banking platform.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Honeywell, TrackWise, their quality platform. Those are our platform partners that built their entire solution on Salesforce. And of course, they have the liberty to price and distribute and commercialize how they see fit on it. And of course, we have the apps and integrations business, which is plugging into where Salesforce customers already exist, and you're extending the solution, driving additional value, or maybe extending the value chain or deepening the value chain specifically. And there's some really interesting flavors there. You've got data, because data is really the gasoline that fuels the engine. You have the ability to commercialize agents, built for purpose agents as well, that run within a Salesforce customer's org. And so that's another flavor of business in the apps and integrations business. So regardless of how you're thinking about your idea, if you're extending a solution where a Salesforce customer already exists, or you're building something entirely from scratch and wanting to commercialize, there's a model out there. And I think our team, along with our great BD and partner account manager team, are always ready to dive in and help unravel and do the discovery to figure out what makes the most sense.
And now that you say that, I kind of want to have you be the myth buster here. Like, it sounds like on your end, like you always had like the technical know-how to help you out in your entrepreneur journey. With a platform like Agentforce 360, do you need this tech know-how to get started?
Well, gosh, I mean, obviously having some tech background is always helpful, because then you get to see all of the amazing tools. And when we talk about Agentforce 360, and this is a big announcement, I don't think people realize how big this is entirely re-envisioning how we are making our platform available to potential partners and to our existing partners. And that includes the newest version of the Salesforce stack from top to bottom. It was completely reinvented over the last few years. If you were to look at from a technical perspective how it was just 2 years ago, is so different from now. But we're talking about data to be able to ingest and bring data into the platform. We're talking about the Agentforce componentry to be able to deliver agentic experiences and really drive the promise of the agentic enterprise. The next-gen marketing, next-gen analytics, all of these capabilities are there, and they exist within the platform. And so obviously kind of understanding what they do is helpful, but our team is really ready to roll up their sleeves and dive in with you and take your concept and help you navigate what's available. What is also really cool is that we're starting to see some very specific built for purpose industry lenses on the platform itself. So when we talk about Agentforce 360, Financial Services Cloud, I mentioned nCino as a great technology partner in banking and finance. We have solutions there in automotive.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, Salesforce has deep industry knowledge, and more as we continue to evolve, you're going to see more and more of these industry capabilities available to partners in a meaningful way. And of course, on the apps and integration side, you have the ability to extend those solutions because we bring the unique data models for those businesses, the unique functional and operational capabilities that we're delivering. Partners really do deepen and extend the value chain. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but you don't necessarily need to know, but obviously having an idea of what the ingredients are that will comprise your solution, it's helpful. But of course, we're happy to help you navigate the technology pantry.
Fantastic. I mean, this is really the point that I wanted to bring home, right? Like that today, if you have a business idea for an agentic business, that's the platform that will allow you, no matter what your skill set is, to get up and running in no time and really focus on like getting the business out and generating the first revenue rather than reinventing the plumbing. So to wrap this fantastic chat, let's try to go back in time. And Brandon, I want you to give some advice to the Brandon from a few decades ago. It's time to build your business, and this entrepreneur is doing it in 2025, soon to be 2026. What should be your top advice? What should Brandon not try to reinvent?
Gosh, it would have been so much easier if I could like flash forward into today from those early days. I think you said it earlier, Antoine, is that time is your most scarce resource, and being really ruthless with your prioritization of time and being able to focus on the things that matter. And so if you're spending time thinking about technology challenges and building out a user security model or database tables, I can dig out the notebooks of my database design for both those
Artifacts.
businesses exactly on paper and all of that. But to be able to start from a foundation that is ready to go, that it's been tested, is used by the biggest companies in the world, and then be able just to extend it, it would have really accelerated our innovation. It would have really accelerated our feedback loop, which would have made our product better, faster, would have accelerated our time to get to positive revenue in ways that I can't even comprehend. It's so different today. This is remarkable. I mean, I was alive and building my first business in the early .com days. The innovation over the last 25 years, this might be the most exciting time in technology that I have seen. And I'm sure there's going to be many more exciting things. Advice is get out there. If you've got an idea, prioritize it. Make sure you prioritize your time and give it a shot, because there's always room for new innovation.
Let's build. Let's build.
Yes,
Brandon, thank you
definitely.
so much. And so today we had the opportunity to look at your entrepreneur different experiences that like moved with like higher and higher level of abstraction until today. The world of agentic applications, where we have Agentforce 360 as the agentic platform to start an agentic business. And I've put agentic in every single sentence 6 times. So it's way too many. Thank you so much, Brandon, for your availability. And I'm sure that we're going to be able to reconnect in the upcoming months. Thank you.
Yes, Antoine, it was a real pleasure. Thank you so much. And you've got the right initials, AI, for your agentic future.
Born this way. Have a great day, Brandon. Thank you so
Take care,
much.
Antoine. Cheers.